The American people understand that we're not going to make progress by going backwards. We need to go forwards. They understand we don't need to refight this battle over health care. It's the right thing to do.
President Obama yesterday talking health care on the campaign trail. The Supreme Court will rule tomorrow on the president's health care law, but what is the White House doing to prepare in case the law is struck down? Let's bring in ABC News White House correspondent Ann Compton, who joins us from Washington. And does the president have a plan B if the Supreme Court throws out part or all of the Affordable Care Act?
Apparently not, but look what he's done over the last 2 days. President Obama is now on the road. He's back in Washington this morning, but he's been on the road talking about all the consumer-friendly aspects of Obamacare that are already in effect. Yesterday in Atlanta, in Miami, he talked about keeping your kids on your policy after they're out of school, not being thrown off because of a pre-existing condition. He keeps emphasizing those consumer-friendly parts. He doesn't talk about the controversial individual mandate where you have to buy insurance, which doesn't take effect for another 2 years. He doesn't talk about the growing federal bureaucracy, the government intrusion that so many people object to. But this morning, Scott, ABC News, Washington Post, new poll on favorability, only 36% of Americans like what they see in his reforms. Only 39% like what they see in the overall health care system. So they're ready for some change.
So despite the consumer-friendly nature of all of this, it still he hasn't sold the public?
Absolutely has not sold the public. And we heard Mitt Romney yesterday saying that on day one, he will issue that waiver to every state in the union, allowing them to opt out of the federal system and do their own health care plans, whatever. But Governor Romney, as the challenger, doesn't really have any list of specifics yet on exactly what he'd do. So Americans are left to choose between a law that's on the books and a law that in 24 hours from now, 26 hours from now, may very well find that key parts of it are cast aside. And that planning, to get back to your original question, what does the administration plan to do? Well, since things like the individual mandate weren't going to take effect for another 2 years anyway, President and Congress have time to react, but not much political will to react. So
what's the sense in Washington? Are both sides kind of just holding their breath and crossing their fingers now?
I think the sense is more interesting outside of Washington. Americans are clearly ready for some kind of action by the Supreme Court to defang what so many Americans consider really over the top, beyond the pale kind of medical reforms. But there's one other little wrinkle in our poll, if I can throw it in at this point. 75% of Americans say they like the health care they have right now. They just think the overall system is broken. And I think that's revealing, too. It's a little bit like Congress. They don't like Congress. They don't have much respect for Congress. But, man, they like their member of Congress.
And the president has been urging Congress to work out something to keep student loan rates from doubling July 1st. It sounds like they're getting close to a deal on Capitol Hill.
It is. And remember, John Boehner, the Republican House Speaker, said a week or so ago that this debate is a phony debate. That's because both sides knew they were going to work it out. They both want the same thing. Both the Republicans in Congress say it's important that the middle class not face an increase in the interest rates right now for student loans. The president said they shouldn't face it now. They couldn't decide on how to pay for it. My goodness, isn't that what we send members of Congress to Washington to figure out? So they're waiting up until the very last minute. They're going to get it done. And then, of course, at the end of the week, Congress takes off for first week of summer vacation and the 4th of July.
Finally, Ann, yesterday the president was out doing a little fundraising again. What is on his schedule today?
Well, the president has things that he's going to do here in Washington, but I think right now is a time where he's looking at exactly what you mentioned, the negotiations on the student loans. And we've just had confirmed that next week, after the 4th of July, he is going to take to the roads the first big campaign bus tour of the year. And I'm afraid it's not going to be Oregon. It's going to be battleground states like Pennsylvania and Ohio.
All right. ABC News White House correspondent Ann Compton from Washington. Thank you, Ann.
And so it begins. Thank you.